What's up guys? Welcome ulit sa aking channel, Cruel Tax and Accounting Tutorial, and welcome again to the Business Law Series. Pagpatuloy natin yung Chapter 2, Nature and Effect of Obligations. Pero bago natin na pagpatuloy, gusto ko lang ipagbikialam na ang mga pinagbatayan natin naman nakalagay dito sa ating pag-uusapan ngayon is yung una, yung libro ni Mr. Hector De Leon, yung kanyang Law on Obligations and Contracts. The Civil Code of the Philippines, binasa rin natin yan. And other resources offer the internet. So yung mga accountancy students dyan or yung mga business ad students na mayroong business law subject, sana makatulong ito sa inyo. Specifically, ang pag-uusapan natin is Article 1169 to 1173, which covers the meaning of delay, kinds of delay, grounds for liability for damages, fraud, and negligence. So simulan agad natin sa delay. So, bakit ba natin pag-uusapan yung delay na yan? Because related yan sa Article 1169. Ano ba nakalagay doon? Those obliged to deliver. Okay? Kung naalala mo pa, obligation to deliver is a real obligation or to do something, a personal obligation incur in delay. Sabi dito, from the time the obligee. Kung naalala mo ba yun sa obligee? Si creditor yan. So, in delay ka daw from the time the obligee to judicially or extrajudicially demands from them the fulfillment of the obligation. Ibig sabihin, as a general rule, the obliger is in delay kapag nag-demand na si creditor or si obligee. Hindi sinabing pag dumating na itong period na to, in delay. According to Article 1169, pag nagkaroon pa lang ng demand. Okay? Anong klaseng demand? Pwedeng judicial or extrajudicial. Ito yan. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng judicial? Ibig sabihin sa korte. Nag-file na ng action sa court for the fulfillment of the obligation. Pag sinabi ng extrajudicial, pwedeng tinawagan ka, sinulatan ka, or pinuntahan ka to demand the fulfillment of the obligation. Okay? So, that is the general rule. However, sabi dito, demand by the creditor shall not be necessary in order that delay may exist. Ibig sabihin, ang tinutukoy dito is yung tinatawag nating automatic delay. Okay, kahit hindi mag-demand si creditor ay considered in delay si debtor. Kailan yon? Number 1, when the obligation or your agreement or the law expressly so declares. Ibig sabihin, nasa kasulatan ninyo or sa agreement ninyo, orally man yan or in writing, or sa law, meron nakalagay doon na schedule kung kailan dapat i-comply. So, ito yon. Okay? Without the need of any demand, ikaw ay may considered in delay. Number 2, sa hinaba-haba na nakalagay dyan, ang ibig sabihin lang yan, when time is of the essence. Mamaya may example tayo para mas maintindihan mo. The number 3, when demand would be useless. Bakit useless? When the obliger rendered it beyond his power to perform. So, hindi na kayang i-perform ni debtor. Maaring ayaw niyang i-perform talaga or nawala yung item, nasira yung item, etc. Yung mga ganun. Mamaya, may mga example tayo dyan. Kaduktong pa ng Article 1169 is ito. In reciprocal obligations. Ibig sabihin ng reciprocal obligations, yung both parties dun sa agreement, merong kailangang i-deliver or merong kailangang ibigay. Okay, meron silang gagawin pareho sa madaling salita. Ang sabi, neither party incurs in delay if the other does not comply or is not ready to comply in a proper manner with what is incumbent upon him. Ibig sabihin, dalawa sila. May kailangan silang i-perform pareho. Pareho silang hindi pa nagdi-deliver. Pareho silang hindi pa ginagawa kung ano yung kailangan nilang gawin. Ibig sabihin, walang in delay sa kanila. Kahit meron pa silang pinix na period, kung kailan dapat nilang i-deliver yung bagay or gawin yung isang bagay, yung sabi, no delay pag hindi pa nag-comply any of the parties. Kailan magkakaroon ng delay? Ang sabi, from the moment one of the parties fulfills his obligation, delay by the other begins. So, this is also an example of automatic delay. Okay? Ngayon, summarize natin yung Article 1169. Pinag-uusapan dito is delay. Kailan magkakaroon ng delay or kailan considered in delay itong si debtor or si obligor? Kapag general rule, karoon ng demand. Exception is yung automatic delay. Diba? Yung isa-isa natin including this one. Okay, at ang demand pwedeng judicial or extra judicial. Alin naman ang mauna dyan? So, yun yung tinutukoy na when there is demand, magkakaroon na ng delay or considered in delay na si debtor or obligor. Okay. So, ano nga ba yung meaning ng delay? In layman's term, ibig sabihin yan, failure to perform an obligation on time. Hindi mo nagawa on time. Late. Ordinary delay. We call it ordinary delay. Pero hindi yan yung tinutukoy na delay in Article 1169. Ang tinutukoy sa Article 1169 is yung tinatawag nating legal delay or default or mora. Okay, so mora means delay. Okay? Ibig sabihin yan, failure to perform an obligation on time. Kamukha nun. Pero ito pinakaiba. Which failure constitutes a breach of the obligation. Ang pinakaiba niya, hindi mo na-perform on time, pero pag sa legal delay, ibig sabihin nun, breach of the obligation. At pagkaroon ng breach, ay may karapatan si obligee or si creditor to ask for or to claim for damages. O kaya mahalagang alam natin yung legal delay. Kailan nangyayari yon? Kailan na nga nangyayari ang legal delay? General rule, kapag nag-demand na si obligee. Okay. Tuloy natin. So, what are the different kinds of delay? Paano pag si debtor ang na-delay? Paano pag si creditor ang na-delay? Anong tawag doon? Okay, pag si debtor ang na-delay, we call that mora solvendi. Okay, at pwedeng ma-delay siya sa kanyang obligation to give or to do. Pag siya ay na-delay, ano tawag doon? Pagka delay in real obligation or in obligation to give. So, we call that extra. Para makita mo sa exam nyo, etc. Sinabi naman nating delay in personal obligation, ex persona. Okay, so that's mora solvendi. Solvendi, tanda mo, debtor ang kapartner niyan. Delay on the part of the debtor. Mora accipiendi naman, yung delay on the part of the creditor. Okay. Delay. Paanong delay? Failure or delay on the part of the creditor to accept. Bakit kaya ayaw i-accept yung performance? Okay. Kung ano man yung dahilan niya, we call that mora accipiendi. At dito, probably, nagkakaroon ng certain rights si debtor. Okay. Paano kung parehong in delay? We call that compensatio morae. So, technically, walang delay pag parehong delay. Okay. So, this pertains to delay of obligors in reciprocal obligations. Okay, so tanda mo yan ha. Mora solvendi, mora accipiendi, and compensatio morae. Tuloy natin. Okay. So, pag-usapan natin the requisites of delay by the debtor. Okay, kailan nga ba considered in delay si debtor? Okay, so number 1, syempre, failure to perform his obligation on the date agreed upon. Okay? Pero, ordinary delay pa lang yan. Pag yan pa lang yun na-comply. Pag na-comply na yung number 2, ayun, demand made by the creditor. Pag meron ng ganyan, ayun, judicial man yan or extrajudicial, so it becomes legal default or yung tinatawagan nating mora. Legal delay or default. And number 3, dahil nag-demand ka, para makompleto yung requisite, failure of the debtor to comply. Hindi pa rin kinomply kahit na meron ng demand. So, delayed na si debtor. Okay? Ang tawag nga natin nun, mora solvendi. Delay on the part of the debtor. Okay? Tuloy natin. So, example tayo. Sample. Saitama obliges himself to deliver to Genos, Genos being the obligee. Si Saitama, si obligor. Okay, ano usapan nila? To deliver a black 2019 Hyundai Accent with plate number AAB 8256 on September 15. So, this is a specific thing. Okay, pero ang po-point out natin dito is in delay na ba? Okay, scenario number 1, assuming Saitama fails to deliver the car on September 15. In delay na ba siya? General rule, hindi pa. Tuloy natin. And no demand was made by Genos. O walang demand by the obligee. Ang sabi, Saitama is only in ordinary delay. So, pag tinanong ka, in default na ba si Saitama? Ang sagot, hindi pa. Ano lang siya, in ordinary delay, pero hindi pa siya in legal delay. Bakit? Hindi pa nagde-demand si Genos. So, talagang pinopoint out dito na para ma-delay si debtor at para meron ka ng right to claim damages, kailangan meron mo ng demand by the creditor. Okay? Tuloy natin. Same example, pero this time, ibahin natin ang scenario. Assuming Genos made a demand on September 20. Ayan, so sulat natin. On September 20, demand has been made, assuming, by Genos. Okay? And Saitama fails to deliver the car. Saitama is considered in default from that date. Ayan. So, dahil meron ng demand, ibig sabihin, in default. Or in legal delay na itong si Saitama. From what date? September 20 or September 15? Napagkasundoan nila ang sagot, September 20. Kung kailan nagkaroon ng demand, hindi September 15. Maliwanag yan, di ba? From the time, sabi, the obligee made a demand. Yun ang nakalagay sa Article 1169. Tama? Okay, tuloy natin. Same situation, pero baguhin natin ang konti. This time, if an action for specific performance is filed by Genos, this time, nagkaroon ng judicial demand through court. Kailan nagkaroon ng judicial demand? September 20. Ang sabi, the payment for damages or of damages for default must commence on September 15 when he made the extra judicial demand. Okay, so kumplitahin natin yung kwento. September 20, nag-file ang action sa court itong si Genos for the fulfillment of the obligation para ma-deliver yung car. Pero nung September 15 ay meron ng extra judicial demand. September 15. Okay, so judicial, extrajudicial. Maaring pinuntahan yan ni Genos si Saitama noong September 15 para i-require na i-deliver ito, pero hindi na i-deliver, kaya noong September 20 nag-file ng action sa court, judicial demand. Tanong ngayon, kailan magsisimula yung pagbibilang kung sakasakali para sa payment of damages? Ang sabi, magsisimula yan on September 15 when the extrajudicial demand was made. Bakit? Nauna yan Yan yung naunang demand. Okay? So, basta nagkaroon na ng demand, ang sabi ng law, diba, judicial man or hindi, doon magsisimula yung right to claim for damages, or doon magsisimula yung period kung saan delay na si debtor. Okay? Sana maliwanag sa atin yan. Next. So, what are the effects of delay? So, in case of mora solvendi, ito ang mga naging epekto kapag na-delay sino ang nade-delay pag mora solvendi? Diba si debtor? Okay, so ano epekto niyan? Number 1, the debtor is guilty of breach of obligation. Okay? Giving right to the creditor na mag-claim ng damages. Letter B, he is liable to the creditor for interest kung sakaling loan ito, or damages kung hindi loan. Dahil nga meron ng breach of obligation, so meron ng karapatan si obligee manghingi ng interest sa loan or damages. Letter C, even in case of fortuitous event ng mga bagay na hindi natin inaasahan. Nangyari, nawala yung item, imposible mo naman perform, nasira yung yung dapat mong i-deliver, ang sabi, liable ka pa rin. Even mangyari or magkaroon ng fortuitous event when the obligation to deliver is a determinating. Okay? Ulit pag determinating kasi general rule, hindi yan replaceable, no? Kaya, ang sabi, pag determinating at ikaw ay considered in default or in legal delay, liable ka pa rin yan. So, generally, for damages. Kasi nga, halimbawa, imposible nang ma-perform dahil nawala na yung item, nasira na yung item due to a fortuitous event, wala na ibang pwedeng i-claim kundi damages. Okay, so next, what if si creditor naman, diba, ang in delay? So what is the effect of that? Number one, the creditor is guilty of breach. O siya naman ayaw niya i-accept handa na mag-deliver or mag-perform itong si debtor, ayaw niyang i-accept, so guilty of breach of the obligation. Letter B, he is liable for damages suffered, if any, by the debtor. O yan, magbabayad pa ngayon siya ng ganyan, danyos. Letter C, he bears the risk of loss of the thing due. Dahil ayaw niya tanggapin pag ito ay nawala without the fault of the debtor, so kasalanan na yun ni creditor, hindi niya pwedeng sisihin si debtor. Letter D, where the obligation is to pay money, the debtor is not liable for interest from the time of the creditor's delay. Okay, siya may kasalanan, ayaw tanggapin yung bayad no? So, hindi na liable for the interest sa mga period na lalakad si debtor. And letter E, kung gusto ma-extinguish ni debtor yung kanyang liability, ma-release siya the obligation, pwede niyang i-consign or i-deposit sa court yung thing or sum due. Okay? So, ituloy natin. Next, paano naman pagka both parties are in delay? Kompensasyon ore. Okay? Ibig sabihin nun, there's no delay. Diba? Pag kayo pareho in delay, there's no delay on part of both parties. In case mayroong delay, pero it cannot be determined, ang sabi, the contract shall be deemed extinguished and each shall bear their own or his own damages. Diba? So, no delay sa general rule. Pag wala pang nagpe-perform sa kanila, di ba ganun ang rule natin dyan? Walang pwede mag-claim ng damages. Okay. This time, pag-usapan na naman natin when demand is not necessary or yung automatic delay. Sa-isahin natin siya. Okay. So, number one, sabi nga, when the obligation so provides, when the law so provides, when time is of the essence, when demand would be useless, o kaya meron ng performance by a party in reciprocal obligation. So, isa-isahin natin yan plus example. Okay, so example ng when the obligation so provides or the agreement provides. Dr. Coseno promised to pay Charango 20,000. Okay. Obligee or si creditor debtor 20,000. Ang usapan nila on or before November 30 without the need of any demand. If Dr. Coseno fails to pay November 30, he is automatically in default. Okay, clear ko muna. So, sa situation na to, what makes delay automatic? Aling provision dito? Ito bang November 30 o itong part na to? Actually, itong part na to. Kung bakit siya naging automatic, kasi sinabi mismo, maliwanag without the need of any demand. Napagkasunduan yan dalawa yan, pinirmahan nyo yan, or maaaring pinanotaryo nyo yan pa yung agreement nyo. So, nakalagay doon, without the need of any demand is very clear. Diba? So, automatic delay. Kahit hindi pa mag-demand on November 30 si Charango. Okay? Tuloy natin. Another example ng when the obligation so provides. Pero this time, ang ibigay natin example yung malabo yung provision. Ibig sabihin, nung agreement nila, walang sinabi specifically. Kaya nito, The contract of loan between Tareo and Nariki provides that failure to pay any installment would mature the entire obligation. Stop. Okay, ibig sabihin, kung installment yan, di nakabayad ng isa, magiging due lahat ng utang. Okay? Kung hanggang dyan lang babasahin natin, assuming yan yung laman ng contract nila. Ibig sabihin yan, there is no specific provision na nagsasabi na there is no need for demand without the need of any demand. Wala tayong nakita ng gano'n, di ba? Sabi dito, it does not state that in such event, Tareo shall thereafter be in default. Nakita nyo yung halaga na kailangan nakasulat talaga ng malinaw yung without the need of any demand or any similar phrases doon. Therefore, in this situation, demand is still necessary to hold Tareo in default. Okay? At magiging liable lang sa interest. Nakalagay dito, he is not liable for interest for default for the whole debt except from the time judicial or extrajudicial demand for payment is made upon him. Okay, so dito kailangan pa rin mag-demand para ma-consider in delay. Okay, kasi nga hindi walang nilagay mismo dito sa provision nila na without the need of any demand, yung mga ganon bagay. Walang nilagay na ganon. Kaya, dahil malabo yung provision ninyo, so, kailangan meron mo ng demand. Okay. This time, when the law so provides, ibig sabihin may batas tungkol dito. Tungkol sa kung kailan dapat i-deliver, kung kailan dapat bayaran. Example, payment of taxes. May schedule yan. Income tax, percentage tax, VAT, withholding tax, etc. May schedule ng payment yan. At pag di mo nabayaran on time, automatically magsisimula na yung computation ng mga surcharges, interest, etc. Okay, so maliwanag sa batas yan. Meron yung mga schedule. Another example is yung si partner nangako siya na magko-contribute siya ng something, halimbawa land to the partnership. Ang sabi, pag nangako ka na mag-deliver ka ng something or magko-contribute ka to the partnership, ang sabi, you are liable for the fruits from the time they should have been delivered without the need of any demand. Mababasa mo yan mismo, yung nakalagay sa Article 1186N 1786N 1788. Nakalagay talaga doon na without the need of any demand. Di ba malinaw na malinaw yung batas tungkol dyan. Okay? Tuloy natin. This time is yung when time is of the essence. Okay? Halimbawa, ikaw ay nagpagawa sa'yo ng wedding dress. Natural, dapat mong i-deliver yon on. Dapat nga hindi on before the wedding date. So, any delivery beyond the actual wedding date is considered default. Tama? Diba? Automatic without the need of any demand. Diba? Kasi nga, alam mo na yun ay gagamitin sa wedding, tas hindi mo i-deliver, considered in default ka nun. O kaya birthday party, umorder sa'yo ng balloons. Siyempre, alam mo naman yung date kung kailan yung dapat i-deliver or kung kailan dapat yung matapos for pick-up, kunwari. Hindi mo ginawa. O, automatically, kahit walang demand from the obligee, you are considered in default. O kaya naman, nag-rent ng car o kaya bumili ng car to be used in a trip at a particular time or date, hindi dumating yung van, hindi din-deliver yung car, ibig sabihin automatic in default na rin. Bakit? Alam mo may biyahe nun meron silang seminar nun diba? Tapos hindi ka dumating, ikaw yung sasakyan, so automatic in default yan without pinopoint out ko, without the need of any demand. Okay, another example is yung useless na kahit mag-demand pa, kaya in default ka na. Example, Amay obliged himself to deliver a specific horse. Ayan, specific horse to Okama on September 5. Problema, through Amay's negligence or deliberate act or even due to a fortuitous event for which Amay has expressly found himself responsible, and the horse died on September 2. Yun naman saklap. ang expected delivery date ay September 5, date of delivery. Tapos September 2 through due to Amai's negligence. Ang sabi, the horse died. Tanong, kaya pa ba niya mag-deliver ng specific horse na yun on September 5? Ang sagot, hindi na, tama. Kaya automatically, ibin mag-demand ka, that would be useless. Kaya sabi, yan, in default na. Lalo na ikaw yung may kasalanan, negligent ka, or sinadya mo talaga. So, automatically, in default. Okay. O kaya talagang sinabi na sa'yo expressly ni debtor na ay hindi ko yan bibigay, hindi ko yan babayaran, ayoko. So with useless kahit mag-demand ka pa. Okay. Next, when there is performance in reciprocal obligation. So yun naman ang pag-usapan natin. Example, Peach Terry agreed to sell Snack his TV worth 10,000 pesos or for 10,000 pesos. Okay, so si Peach Terry, ang obligation niya is to deliver TV. Ito namang si Snack, ang kanyang obligation is to pay 10,000 pesos. So, payment, delivery. Ganyan ang senaryo, no? Kailan madidelay ang isa sa kanila? Halimbawa, si Peach Terry, i-deliver ang TV kay Snack. Assuming walang period kung kailan dapat deliver ang TV at hindi nagbayad si Snack, ibig sabihin Snack is considered in default. Okay, without the need of any demand. Okay, bakit? Kasi ito ay reciprocal obligations. Bakit nga po? Nakalagay sa batas mismo, di ba? In case of reciprocal obligation, pag nag-perform na yung isa, automatic in default na yung isa. Okay? So, that's it. Another scenario dito sa problem na to. This time, baguhin natin. They have agreed, Peach Terry agreed to sell his TV to Snack for 10,000 on December 10. Ayan. So, this time, may fixed date. December 10 is the date of delivery. Okay. Ito rin yung date of payment. Sabay. Okay. So, ang sabi dito, the delivery of Peach Terry on December 5 does not give him the right to demand payment from Snack. Ang usapan yung December 10. So, kahit mag-deliver ka ng December 5, hindi pa rin in delay yung kapartner mo, yung kasama mo sa agreement. At wala kang karapatang i-demand yung payment before December 10. So, ibig sabihin, before December 10, walang in default, walang madi-delay sa kanilang dalawa. Okay? Pagdating ng December 10, ayun na. Kailangan na i-comply ng dalawa, mag-deliver at magbayad yung isa. Otherwise, delay on the part of the other will begin. Okay? Another scenario. Ibahin natin ulit ng konti. This time, ito ang naging usapan. Diba si Peach Terry obliged siyang to deliver the TV. Ang napag-usapan ng delivery date is December 10. Ayan. While ito naman si Snack, ang kanyang liability is payment. Ang sabi dito sa agreement, December 15. Yun ang napagkasundaan. December 15. Okay, so what will happen on December 10? What will happen on December 15? Sayin natin. Demand is necessary on December 10 by Snack to put Peach Terry in delay. Ayun. Pagdating ng December 10 at hindi nag-deliver si Peach Terry, dinabagas na nilang delivery date, in default na ba? Ang sagot, hindi. Kailangan mo nang magkaroon ng demand. Kailangan mo na mag-demand si obligee para ma-considered in default itong si obligor. Okay? Similarly, sabi to, the delivery of the TV by Peach Terry does not put Snack in delay until a demand is made upon him on December 15. Okay, so punta tayo sa part ni Snack. On December 15, dumating ang December 15, assuming na i-deliver na ni Peach Terry yung TV noong December 10. Pwede ba magdemanda ng payment itong si Peach Terry? Ang sagot, yes. Pag nagbayad, okay. Pag hindi nagbayad, considered siya in default. Okay, considered in default si Snake pag hindi siya nagbayad upon demand from December 15. Okay, or on December 15. Ibig sabihin, pag hindi nag-demand itong si Peach Terry on December 15, hindi delay or in default si Snake. Okay, so bumalik lang tayo dun sa basic rule natin. Okay, so balikan nga natin yung basic rule na yan sa delay. Okay, so pag sinabi nating delay, the general rule, number 1, magkakaroon lamang tayo ng delay kapag si creditor ay nag-demand. Okay, bilang exception or exceptions to the rule, meron din tayong cases kung saan merong automatic delay. Kailan yun? When the obligation so provides, when the law so provides, when time is of the essence, performance of one in a reciprocal obligation. So, yun. So, tapos yung demand, ulitin natin, pwedeng judicial or extra judicial. Okay? So, ituloy natin. This time, pag-usapan naman natin is damages. Kasi nga, yun ang pwedeng i-claim ng creditor in case, dimbawa dun sa delay kanina, in case madelay si debtor. Pero ang tanong ngayon, kailan pa ba or ano pa yung mga instances kung saan pwede mag-claim ng damages itong si obligee or si creditor. So, define muna natin ano ba yung damages. This refers to monetary compensation for loss or injury to a person caused by the wrongful act of another. At kung gusto mo pag-aralin tungkol dito sa damages, pwede mo yung basahin sa Article 2197, Title 18 of the Civil Code. Kaya dapat download mo talaga yung Civil Code. Ito yung different types of damages na pwedeng ma-claim. We have actual damages, moral damages, nominal damages, temporary, liquidated, and exemplary. So, ulitin natin. We have moral damages, we have exemplary damages, we have nominal damages, temporary damages, actual damages, and liquidated damages. Para mas madali mo matandaan. Pero, bonus na lang yan kung sakaling babasahin mo, no? Talaga masipag ka mag-aral. So, you refer to Article 2197 of the Civil Code. Okay, so this time pag-usapan natin yung next article, Article 1170. Ano bang sinasabi doon? Those who in the performance of their obligations are guilty of fraud, ayan, negligence, ayan, or delay, yung kayayari lang natin pag-usapan, and those who in any manner contravene the tenor thereof, ang sabi, are liable for damages. So, ito na yung mga instances kung saan pwede mag-claim ng damages itong si obligee or si creditor. Kailan? Kapag si debtor or si obliger ay guilty of fraud, negligence, delay, or contravention of the tenor thereof, or kung ano mo yung napag-usapan ninyo. Pwede mag-claim ng damages itong si obligee. Okay. So, tuloy natin. Inulit lang yung grounds for liability for damages, yung Article 1170. Yun yung fraud, or we call that deceit or dolo, negligence or culpa, delay or mora, at yung contravention of the tenor thereof. So, familiarize mo yung sarili mo sa mga salitang ito: dolo, culpa, and mora. Kaya yari lang natin pag-usapan ng mora, which pertains to delay. Culpa, on the other hand, pertains to negligence. Dolo pertains to fraud. Okay? Tuloy natin. Pag sinabi nating fraud, deceit, or dolo, it refers to deliberate and intentional evasion of the normal fulfillment an obligation. Ibig sabihin sinasadyang yung fraud. Ano ba yung fraud? Pag sa Tagalog, pandaraya. Pwede nating simplihan na ganyan. Or panluloko. So, nandaya in the performance of the obligation. And for your information, there are two types of fraud. We have incidental fraud or yung dolo incidente, which is committed in the performance of an obligation already existing. Ibig sabihin, nung pinperform mo, doon ka nagloko. Doon may panluloko or pandarayang ginawa. So, ito yung pag-uusapan sa Article 1170 as well as with Article 1171. So, ito. Meron tayong isang klase pa ng fraud, yung causal fraud or dolo causante, which is fraud employed in the execution of a contract which vitiates consent. Kung ito, may contract na, may obligation na, existing na, tapos, in the performance, tsaka nakamit yung fraud. Itong causal fraud or dolo causante, ito yung sitwasyon kung saan to get the consent of the other party, nagloko. May pandarayang sinabi or ginawa. Okay? So, before the contract was perfected, in order to get the consent, dinaya, niloko, di ba? Nagamitan ng matatamis na pananalita, pero hindi naman totoo. Hindi sana siya papasok dun sa kontrata na yun or agreement na yun kung alam lang niya na hindi totoo yung sinasabi ni debtor. Di ba? Kaya pumasok sa obligee sa contract at napapayag is dinaya pa lang. Dinaya. Ibig sabihin, pag enter pa lang sa contract, dinaya na to get the consent. Yun namang incidental fraud, meron ng contract, tapos nung pinperform na, halimbawa ang obligation mo is to deliver bread, binigyan mo ng bato, so that's incidental fraud. Okay, tuloy natin. Example, Dr. Bopoy obliged himself to deliver to bank 20 bottles of yellowtail wine. So okay, subsequently, nag-deliver naman itong si Dr. Bofoy 20 bottles, then knowing that they contain cheaper wine. Ayun, guilty ba siya ng fraud? Of course, Dr. Bofoy is guilty of fraud and is liable for damages. So, what kind of fraud is this? Ito yung incidental fraud. Fraud committed in the performance. So, diba? Yellowtail wine ang usapan pero dilagyan mo ng ibang klase ng wine. Okay. Rice wine na nilagay mo, parang ganun. So, yun. Tuloy natin. Sinabi naman nating negligence or fault or culpa. Culpa. Diba? Ang sarap panggitin ng culpa. Ano yung ibig sabihin yan? Any voluntary act ginawa mo or omission, di mo ginawa, there being no bad faith or malice which prevents the normal fulfillment of an obligation. Ibig sabihin, kaya hindi na i-perform yung obligation, merong negligence. At ano yung negligence? Pag tinagalog natin yan, kapabayaan. Okay, may kapabayaan ginanap. Hindi sinasadya. Hindi intentional. Okay. In another definition, this pertains or negligence pertains to failure to exercise the required amount of care to prevent injuries to others. Diba? In law, meron tayong mga tinatawag na required diligence. Pwedeng ordinary diligence. Pwede rin minsan ang requirement is extraordinary. So, pag ang requirement is extraordinary, care, tapos ang performance ordinary, liable ka doon. Example tayo. King is a passenger in a taxi. Okay. If an accident occurs because the driver is going at 180 kilometers per hour, parang nakikipagkarera, no? And as a result, King was injured. Napakabilis magpatakbo nito. Ang sabi, the owner of the taxi or the operator of the taxi is liable for damages because of the negligence of the driver. Lalo na, ang pinag-usapan dito is common carrier. Diba? Sabi natin, pag common carrier, the degree of diligence required is extraordinary diligence or extraordinary care. 180. Mukha bang nag-iingat yan. So, hindi yan nag-iingat. Okay, so that's an example of negligence. Tuloy natin. Delay or mora. Pag-usapan na natin sa Article 1169. Alala mo pa ba? Okay, so balikan mo na lang yan. Pati yung mga example. So, pag in delay, pwede rin mag-claim ng damages. Next is contravention of the terms. Ibig sabihin, kung ano yung nakalagay doon, hindi yun ang sinunod mo. Pag ginawa mo, o kaya yung bawal, pinagbabawal doon, yung ginawa mo, violation of the terms and conditions stipulated in the obligation which is not due to a fortuitous event. Diba? Ibig sabihin, nilabag mo yung ibinagbabawal. Diba? Which is not due to a fortuitous event. Talagang ikaw, diba, ang gumawa. Okay? So, sample. Tatsumaki leased the apartment of Kong. So, si Kong ang may-ari, lessor, si Tatsumaki, lessee. 10,000 a month to be paid in advance during the first week of every month. So, yan, nausapan. First week of every month, 10,000. Obligation of Tatsumaki as lessee is to pay the rent. Syempre, obligation of Kong as a lessor is to maintain Tatsumaki in the peaceful possession of the apartment. Okay. Ngayon, what happens? Number 1. Or next, if Tatsumaki violates her obligation to pay the rent, diba? Kong is entitled to eject her from the premises and recover damages. Natural yun. Okay? On the other hand, if Kong does not maintain Tatsumaki in the peaceful possession of the apartment, kasi hindi naman pala siya may-ari, no? Thus, Tatsumaki is ejected, Kong may be held liable for damages for violation of the terms of the obligation. Diba? To keep Tatsumaki in peaceful possession of the apartment. Hindi naman pala siya may-ari. So, na-eject itong si Tatsumaki. So, may karapatan itong sa Tatsumaki to claim for damages. Okay. So, generally, bago natin explore pa ang fraud at negligence, ito yung mga pagkakaiba nila. Sinabi nating fraud, it's intentional. There's an intention to cause damage or injury. There is malice. Okay? Negligence is not intentional. Hindi sadya. Ito, talagang sinadya. Sadya. Okay? Tapos, waiver for future fraud is void. Pag-uusapan natin yan sa kasunod. Waiver for future negligence in certain sense may be allowed. So, pag-uusapan din natin yan. At pag fraud ang pinag-uusapan, it must be clearly proved in the court. Mas madaling i-prove ang negligence. Diba? And then, liability for fraud cannot be mitigated by the courts. Diba? While liability for negligence may be reduced according to circumstances. So, nakadepende kung magkano. Hindi pare-pareho. Pero yung for fraud, sabi, it cannot be mitigated. Okay. Next, so pag-usapan na natin yung fraud. Ano ba yan? So, Article 71 states that responsibility arising from fraud is demandable in all obligations. Any waiver of action for future fraud is void. Okay, so ano ba ibig sabihin ito mga pinagsasabi natin na yan or naka-included sa Article 71? Explore natin. Number 1, note. Article 1171 refers to incidental fraud. Okay, fraud committed in the performance of the obligation. Number 2, the court has no power to mitigate or reduce the damages to be awarded. Okay? Ngayon, ano ba yung tinutukoy nating waiver of action? Pag sinabing waiver of action, parang sinasabi mo, ganito. Baka lokohin kita or lolokohin kita in the future, pag finorform ko na yung obligation ko. Huwag mo akong kakasuhan. Pirma tayo ng waiver. Pirma ka ng waiver. Hindi mo ako kakasuhan. Tanong, valid ba yun? Ang sabi, waiver of action for future fraud is void, 'di ba? Kahit na pumayag ka pa kunwari, no? That is still void. An agreement to that effect is void. Bakit? It is against the law and public policy. Okay? Pero yung waiver of action for past fraud, ibig sabihin, nangyari na yung fraud. Tapos, nanghihingi ng waiver si debtor na pag mo na siyang kasuhan for past fraud. Pwede ba yun? Pwede ba yung ganon? Ang sagot, yes, it is valid. The waiver can be considered as an act of generosity or magnanimity. Makagandahang loob on the part of the victim. Parang pinagbigyan mo na, pwede. Pero yung agreement na lolokohin kita in the future, pirmahan mo yung waiver, huwag mo akong kakasuhan, that is void. Pero pag past, pwede na. And then, the waiver, however, the waiver must be expressed in clear language. Ayan, yan na naman yung maliwanag na maliwanag. Nakasulat, na i-waive mo na ni creditor ang kanyang right. Okay? Diba? No doubt as to the intention of the obligor to give up his right against the obligor. Particularly the right to claim damages, ano? Okay. Ngayon, tuloy natin. Example. Mizuki promised to deliver 120 kabans of price of a particular brand and quality to Moomin at the rate of 10 kabans a month. Okay. Mizuki cannot make an agreement with Moomin whereby Moomin will not file an action in court against Mizuki should Mizuki commit fraud in the performance of his obligation. This is void. Okay. Hence, Moomin can still bring an action against Mizuki for damages arising from fraud. Okay, so sana maliwanag yan, ha. Bawal talaga yung waiver of action for future fraud. Kalokohan yun. Unang-una, ba't ka papayag? Diba? Lolokohin kita in the future. Huwag kang magagalit sa akin, ha. Huwag mo ako susubong sa tatay mo, sa nanay mo. Pirma ka ng waiver. Huwag mo kakasuhan. O, diba? Walang papayag sa ganon. Na nasa tamang kaisipan, ano? Na nasa katinuan, diba? Okay, but once fraud is committed, sabi dito, Moomin, with full knowledge thereof, can waive his right. Ay, mali. Can waive his right to indemnity as an act of forgiveness. So, di ba? Kung mabait si Moomin, pwede niyang i-waive yung kanyang right to claim for damages, pero dapat, ano na yan, past fraud, hindi future fraud. Di ba? Okay. So, maliwanag ang batas dyan. Tuloy natin. This time, pag-usapan natin negligence. So, Article 72 naman yan, nakalagay doon, responsibility arising from negligence in the performance of every kind of obligation is also demandable, but such liability may be regulated by the courts according to the circumstances. Okay. Okay. Tuloy natin. Notes. The court has a wide discretion in fixing the measure of damages kasi nga, depending on the circumstances. Okay, kung magkano ba yung isa-charge na damages. So, hindi siya fix. Next, negligence is not serious as fraud because it is not deliberate. Kaya mas magaan ng konti. Okay? At when both parties are negligent, the fault of one may cancel or neutralize the negligence of the other. Okay? Tuloy natin. O, ito na. Pag-usapan natin waiver of action. Papipirmahin ka na tungkol sa future negligence. Huwag mo kakakusahan in case mangyari ito. Mga ganun. Okay, pwede ba yun? The answer is yes, valid. Waiver of action for future negligence is valid except for the nature of the obligation requires extraordinary diligence kagaya nga ng sa common carrier. Pero pag ang requirement lang naman is ordinary diligence or ordinary care, pwede kayong mag-draft or gumawa ng waiver of action for future negligence. Okay, so pwede yun. So negligence showing bad faith on the other hand is considered equivalent to fraud. Therefore, waiver for future negligence of this kind is void. Natural yun. Pag sinabi natin negligence, hindi sinasadya, di ba? Kaya halimbawa yung nasa magtutur or magsa-seminar, di ba? May waiver na pinapipirmahan sa mga bata at sa parents. Waiver of action in case may mangyaring untoward incident. So, valid yon. Diba? Kasi beyond the control naman, halimbawa yung mangyayari. Okay? Pero pag it is considered in bad faith, which is equivalent to fraud, ay, bawal yan. Okay? Tuloy natin. So, what are the different kinds of negligence? So, we have contractual negligence or yung culpa, contractual negligence in contracts resulting in their breach. Yan yung nasa Article 1172 nga. Okay? We also have civil negligence or culpa aquiliana or yung quasi-delic or tort. Mababasa mo yung full provision for this Article 2176. Matatandaan mo, quasi-delic is one of the sources of obligation. Tama? Kung naalala mo yung quasi-delic or tort. Okay, so basically ito yung pag-uusapan natin, yung culpa contractual. Number 3, we also have criminal negligence or culpa criminal negligence resulting in the commission of a crime. Nakapatay ka, etc. Mga ganon. Babasa mo yan, Article 3, 365 of the revised penal code. So, ibang ano na yan, hindi na civil code, ano? Okay. Itong number 2, mababasa mo pa ito sa civil code. Okay. So, culpa contractual, culpa aquiliana, culpa criminal. Pero lahat yan ay culpa or negligence. Tuloy natin. So, example tayo. Boros is the driver of a carefully driven taxi. Oops. Yan na, maliwanag. Carefully driven taxi owned by Monster Incorporated. Ayan. In a busy street of Moraita, Boros was mesmerized by a beautiful girl standing at the side of the street. Nako. Tumingin si Boros. Diba? Natulala si Boros. And because of that, he didn't notice Garo while crossing the pedestrian rail. Ayun ang sablay. Diba? Garo died upon getting hit by Boros. Ayun. Garo died. Nakapatay. Sinasadya ba? Hindi. Kabuto, his passenger suffered serious injuries. Ayun na. Meron pang nadamay na isa. Injured. Okay. Ang tanong ngayon, who among the victims may take an action on the premise of culpa contractual? So, ang tanong natin, sino ba ang pwede mag-file ng action for on the premise of culpa aquiliana? So, analyze natin. Kabuto may bring an action against Monster on the ground of culpa contractual. So, si Kabuto, yung passenger. Okay, so, please remember, si Kabuto yung ating passenger. At in between Kabuto and Monster Inc., meron silang contract. Okay. Anong contract yon? Tinatawag natin contract of carriage. Kasi nga si Monster Inc. ay isang common carrier and they are required siya, lahat ng kanyang drivers, to exercise extra ordinary care, which is hindi natupad or hindi nagawa dun sa ating senaryo, diba? Okay, so si Kabuto may right to bring an action on the ground or on the premise of culpa contractual. E paano naman yung heirs ni Garo? So, the heirs of Garo, may choice sila. Anong choice? A civil action for damages under Article 2176. Yung quasi-delic ngayon. As a result of culpa aquiliana. Or, ang choice nila is yung to file a criminal action under Article 100 of the revised penal code. Culpa criminal naman yan. Okay, so, pero hindi pwedeng dalawa. Isa lang dyan yung pwede nilang piliin. Okay, so, tuloy natin. This time, pag-usapan naman natin is Article 1173. Kalagay dito, the fault or negligence of the obliger consists in the omission. So, ibig sabihin, negligent ka Pag you omitted, ano yun? That diligence which is required by the nature of the obligation, number 1, corresponds with the circumstances of the person, of the time, and of the place. So, yung kasing tinatawag nating negligence, yung required diligence, para maiwasan yung, para i-consider ka as negligent, depende sa pagpapabaya mo, parang gano'n, no? Meron kasi tayong tinatawag na required diligence. At yung required diligence, nakadepende yan sa nature of obligation, circumstances of the person, of the time, or the place. So, mamaya may example tayo dyan. Tuloy natin. When negligence shows bad faith, the provisions of Article 1171 and 2201, Paragraph 2 shall apply. Okay? Ngayon, if the law or contract does not state the diligence which is to be observed in the performance, ano yung diligence na ating i-exercise? That which is expected of a good father of a family. So, the default diligence is yung tinatawag nating ordinary diligence or ordinary care. Okay? Tuloy natin. So, summarize ulit natin. The diligence required is, first, kung ano yung napag-usapan ninyo. Second, kung wala kayo napag-usapan in your agreement or in your contract, kung ano yung required by law. For example, yun yung extraordinary diligence required for common carriers. And if both are silent, kasi wala sa agreement nyo, walang specification ng law tungkol doon, the diligence required of a good father of a family or yung ordinary diligence. Okay? So, tuloy natin. What are the factors to consider when determining the issues in negligence? Diba, nabanggit dun sa may provision, consider natin yung nature of obligation, circumstances of the person, circumstances of the time, or place. Minsan kasi, depende sa, halimbawa sa time, mamaya sa example natin makikita mo, negligent ka. Halimbawa pag gabi, mo ginawa yon, pero pag umaga, hindi ka negligent. Mamaya, pakita natin yon. So, it depends. Ngayon, ito na, example. First example is, we consider the nature of the obligation. Halimbawa, you are carrying materials known to be flammable, tapos you are smoking, you are considered negligent. Ang i-deliver nyo ay panagasolina, langis, etc. Tapos, naninigarilyo doon sa may sasakyan. So, sumabog siya, nasunog siya doon. You are considered negligent. Number 2, circumstance of the person. For example, a security guard sleeping while on duty is guilty of negligence. Siyempre naman, di ba? Kaya ka nga hinire bilang security guard is para magbantay. Ibig sabihin, dapat ikaw ay laging gising. Pero dahil ikaw ay tulog, you are considered negligent. Okay? Number 3, circumstances of time. For example, driving without headlights at night is gross negligence. Pero pag wala kang headlight during the day, it does not constitute negligence. So, diba? Yung binabanggit ko kanina. Then number 4, circumstances of the place. For example, driving at 100 kilometers per hour in NLEX is permissible. Okay? That's the maximum. In NLEX, but doing the same in Ayala Avenue, Makati is gross recklessness. So, depende rin sa time. Depende sa place. Minsan. Kung negligent ba or hindi. Okay? So, summarize natin. We have to consider the nature of the obligation, circumstances of the person, circumstances of time, and place. Okay? So, how do we measure liability for damages? Illustrate natin sa pamamagitan ng isang example. So, for example, Dote agreed to sell and deliver to Kudo on a certain date 1,000 kilos of denorado rice for 1 million. Okay. Kudo is the obligee, while Dote is the obliger. Okay. No, dahil may ine-expect na si Kudo na denorado rice, Kudo agreed to sell the rice to be received from Dote to Butagama. Ayun. Magkano? For 1,100,000. Ayun na. So, may kikitain na 100,000 si Kudo pag na-deliver niya ito kay Butagami. At pag na-deliver ni Dotei din sa kanya. Okay, this contract with Butagami was made known to Dotei, o pinalam pa, no? On the date of delivery, Dotei did not deliver the rice. Ayun ang problema. So, Kudo bought the rice from another supplier, pero ang price na is 1,100,000. Okay, so nawala. Parang wala yung 100,000 na expected niyang income. Tuloy natin. So, because of that, Kudo got so angry that he suffered a heart attack for which he was hospitalized for 5 days. So, sobrang sama ng loob nitong si Kudo na hospital pa. Buhay pa naman. Okay, so ano ang karapatan ni Kudo in this situation? Okay, if Dotei, si Obligator, acted in good faith. Ibig sabihin, talagang hindi lang niya na-deliver for some reason, valid reason, Kudo may be entitled to damages amounting to 100,000, the unrealized profit. You refer to Article 2201 of the Civil Code. Meron pa rin makiklaim 100,000 yung unrealized profit. What if Dotei acted in bad faith? Ayan na. If Dotei is acted in bad faith, he is also liable to pay for the hospitalization expense incurred by Kudo. Diba? So, 100,000 plus yung hospitalization expense incurred by Kudo pag in bad faith. Okay? So, ganun yan. So, sana may natutunan kayo sa ating video. Abangan nyo pa yung mga kasunod nating video.